Welcome everyone to your March 2026 astrology forecast by sign. I do highly recommend that you listen to the collective astrology forecast in addition to this one, because I go into much more detail about things. If nothing else, I do recommend that you watch that video and go to the timestamps for the Sabian symbols. I always include the Sabian symbols for any planets that are only moving through or staying within 1 degree for the entire month, because I feel like that's a lesson or something that we are supposed to be kind of focusing on and really learning to embody during that month. And this month of March, we have Jupiter. Jupiter's the biggest player in this month, which also, if you listen to the collective, you'll understand why, as well as through here, but not in as much detail. But Jupiter is only moving about half a degree, and Pluto is only moving a little more than half a degree. So both of those Sabian symbols, and they pair very well together. They're very similar messages. So I believe we are kind of working through a major theme this month. So I highly recommend you go and listen to that collective video. You can fast forward to those timestamps, but I think it is important. And then I do recommend this month listening to the collective video. It is about an hour long, but I do go into more detail about some things. I'm going to go into as much detail for each of the signs as possible, but since it takes so long to get through each sign, I am going to try to condense it a little bit shorter. Instead of having 40 minutes to an hour long each, I'm going to try to keep it to about 15 to 20 minutes each for each sign, so you'll get much more detail in that collective reading, and then be able to kind of apply it to yourself once you get this overview for your sign. Also, as usual, I recommend listening first for your rising sign, as your rising sign is kind of what determines your house system and where your areas of life are falling. So where the astrology is most likely to hit different areas of life, where you're most likely to see these things manifesting for you. And then listen for your sun. That is more, your soul's purpose, your career, how you're viewing life, kind of outwardly, where your mind may be more focused. And then moon will be more felt on a home front or on an emotional level. So they all do provide accurate information and interpretation, and it's good to listen to all three and kind of marry them all together to get a feel of what's going on for you this month. But if you only have time to listen to one, I recommend listening to your rising sign, as that will be the greatest indicator of what areas of life things are actually manifesting for you. So now just a little introduction. If you are new here, hi, I'm Sarah at Life with Training Wheels, where I utilize Western tropical zodiac astrology whole sign house system, along with tarot and other spiritual health and wellness tools such as singing bowls, tuning forks, all different sorts of things to help guide you on your path to a greater understanding of yourself, a greater understanding of this world, and really just getting to know yourself better and taking control of your destiny better, and learning to see any self-limiting behaviors or self-limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging behaviors, victim mentality, wherever these things might be, help you see them and learn to release them. I'm big on empowerment and really believe that, through mindset and just taking an active role in our lives, we really can create the life we want. And I want to help guide you on that journey. And that is, so if that's something that sounds like you want to stick around for it, a vibe you can vibe with, then please do stick around. Give me a like, a comment, a subscribe, any interaction you can, so that I continue to show up in your feed, and so that YouTube knows that this is valuable content for people. If you are returning, thank you so much for returning. Again, if you could engage in some way, that would be super helpful and help this tiny channel grow. I would greatly greatly appreciate it. Now, let's go ahead and start getting into it. All right, so we are going to be starting with Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising, and we will just start off here on March 3rd, which was the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. In my collective video, I did list a lot of links to a lot of different astrologers that did separate videos on those by sign, so you can check the links in that video for anything more particular, but just a high level highlight right here. So, you know, the full moons are about culmination, things coming to fruition from the seeds we planted either 2 weeks or 6 months before, and giving thanks for that, as well as taking the time. It's also a time of release because it's taking the time. It's when the harvest has come. Now we need to weed and start thinking about preparing for the next new growth cycle, right? So it's a time of releasing what's no longer serving us and things like that, and identifying those things. And with the eclipse, it packs more punch, right? It has the ability, especially if you have any planets or points near this 12 degrees of Virgo in your 7th house, you'll be feeling this eclipse more potently, and eclipses always have the potential to kind of change the trajectory of our lives. So this could be, with it being the full moon, this could be something showing up, but also considering that full moons are usually the focus is more about releasing something. And the South Node, it's paired with the South Node as well, which is also about releasing things. So this is about releasing things in the 7th house area of your life, which is relationships, whether that's, marriage partnerships, best friendships, business partnerships. This is also like open enemies. So things ex-business partners or ex-spouses or things like that. So there's something here that's being asked to be released. And with the Virgoan energy, it could just be perhaps like how I'm immediately feeling this is releasing the need to have so much control over what goes on in your relationships. Like maybe you're expecting too much out of your partnerships, and maybe that's why things haven't worked out for you in relationships in the way that you wish they would, is because maybe you have a self-sabotaging behavior where you expect too much from people, place too many expectations on them, have this idea that things need to be perfect in these types of ways. And so this is asking you to release that. I'm also feeling that this is asking you to release like any patterns of codependency or things like that, and just needing to be perfect, and releasing any codependency and learning to trust and rely on yourself more. And that's not to say that relationships are ending or anything like that, but almost just to give more freedom to your partner to show up the way that they are and to be more accepting of the way that they are, as well as to give yourself grace for showing up how you need to show up in partnerships, right? Like not expecting yourself to be so perfect in relationships, and allowing yourself grace as well. And, through that, allowing to trust, where you are, who you are, and to trust that you'll, be aligned with whatever is meant to be coming into your life, and to trust yourself more, to trust your inner guidance, your inner wisdom more, to trust your intuition more in both yourself as well as in your relationships. So that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting for this full moon for you. And then just knowing that there was this, Jupiter is the main player of the month overall, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But with Jupiter interacting with this full moon lunar eclipse, bringing, it is still retrograde, but it is bringing, perhaps past opportunities, or just bringing luck and abundance. So even though there's things that you might be asked to let go of that might seem a little bit difficult at the time or whatever, it is really a blessing, especially with Jupiter here. It's imbuing it with very positive experience, very positive outcome, especially coming from your fifth house of joy, romance, creativity, entrepreneurship, things like that. So that is going to be kind of imbued in this eclipse of letting things go before new things can arrive. Okay, so then the next thing, so as I discussed in the collective video, the first thing I look at when I look at a month ahead is if there are any chart patterns that really stick out to me. And in the month of March, the biggest chart pattern that sticks out to me is the entire month long, which I'll show you here in just a second, is that Jupiter is making a trine with Mercury. So if we look here, March 3rd, Jupiter is in a trine here with Mercury. Mercury's right here. And then if we go forward 1 week, Jupiter is still making a trine here, a closer trine with Mercury retrograde. And then if we go forward 1 more week, maybe, we still show Jupiter still in a trine here with Mercury. And then if we go forward another week, so near the end of the month, it is still in a trine here with Mercury. And then, we go into March 31st, and it is still in a trine with Mercury. So the entire month long, it is in a trine with Mercury. And this is important because it is happening all month long. But it also, if you listen to the collective, overall indicates, right? Mercury is our mind, our how we think about things, our thought processes, our communication, how we take in information, how we give out information, just how we think about things, our mindset, things like that. And then Jupiter expands things, right? And when they're and in Cancer especially, I feel like it can be bringing back ancient wisdom and things like that, and which you can listen to in the collective. And so for you with this, overall, so all month long, while these planets are retrograde, this energy that we're getting, this information that we're getting is going to be felt very much internally. And then as these planets shift to be direct by the end of the month, we'll be able to kind of push the energy forward, and whatever we've been internalizing and embodying, we'll be able to finally know how we want to act on these things. So you're having this conversation between Jupiter in your fifth house, like I said, which is representative of joy, creativity, romance, children, entrepreneurship, right? Birthing something, whether that's children or ideas into existence, birthing creative projects, things like that. So this conversation is happening between that and your mind in your first house. So this conversation is, perhaps reconnecting to your inner child and reconnecting to past hobbies and things like that, past things that brought you joy that maybe you've forgotten about. So reconnecting with that side of yourself, reconnecting with your inner child, and reconnecting with your current children, perhaps getting pregnant, having children, that could happen. Maybe you've been trying, and in this retrograde period, maybe you come to some sort of understanding of what that would do, whether you've had trouble or not, or whatever. And then maybe when it turns direct, you find out you're pregnant or something like that. Or if you're older, this could be grandchildren as well and things like that. But it since it's so related with the mind, this could also be, especially with this in your first house, this could be a lot of intuition coming in for you, especially if you're engaging in the creative process of just getting lost in loving what you're doing. That's when we're most receptive, and that's when we can receive the most inspiration from the divine and things like that. So maybe you're reconnecting with that during the retrograde phase, so you can, really put some things into practice when they turn direct. So just kind of, it's kind of like, I feel like you're going through a time period this month where you're like, what makes me happy? What brings me joy? How can I reconnect to it? And where and how have I blocked that from my mind that's possible to do? So I feel like that's a lot of what March will be about for you, is kind of figuring out those opportunities and the abundance and the joy that and the wisdom that you can gain from these creativity aspects and engaging with them, and just your mindset about them and how that affects who you identify yourself to be, right? With it being your first house of self. The other thing overall, collectively, I mentioned that around March 17th, we have 3i Atlas making its pass by Jupiter, and it's going to be passing by there very close to it. And then the day after, we have Venus will have moved into Aries, and it will be making a square to Jupiter. And when Venus and Jupiter make squares, they're both benefic planets, so these squares are usually very beautiful. And so with Venus being in your second house of finances and material possessions and self-value and things like that, there could be some abundance happening here. Maybe maybe there's something related to, maybe there's an opportunity for your kids for some type of job. That could be how that manifests. Maybe a romantic partner has some type of income, but since it is your second house too, it will be benefiting you in some way as well. Or it could just be, Venus also represents relationships, so there could be a relationship that proves to be fruitful in financial and joy. Or fifth house, since it can represent, our creative passions and entrepreneurship, maybe you have the opportunity to turn one of your passions into a money-making opportunity, right? That could be coming along, and maybe 3i Atlas will be bringing that awareness into your mind, and then you can, and then Venus making the square the next day, maybe it is able to be made manifest. I do talk a little bit more about Jupiter in the collective reading, but we are going to move on to keep this short and condensed to the next couple conjunctions. There are 8 conjunctions happening this month, and I mentioned them all in the collective video. I'm only going to mention 4 of them in this video because I think they're the most important ones, and it is that Venus and the Sun are going to take turns. Venus at the beginning of the month, March 7th, and then March 8th, is going to be making conjunctions to Neptune and then Saturn. And you'll see I still have this on March 31st, so Venus is already March 31st, it enters Capricorn, so it's going to be moving through pretty quickly. But it is making a conjunction with Neptune and Saturn, and I believe this is beautiful because, this energy here with the Neptune Saturn, that's where we're birthing a new reality. That's where we're birthing collectively the new world that we are going to be living in for the next thousands of years. It's that big of a cycle, which I talked about last month in February. And so since this is falling in your second house, this is where you may have the opportunity to be a leader in this. In second house, maybe thinking about a new way to utilize our material resources and being a leader in that, perhaps leader in gardening, teaching people how to grow their own food, or different money systems. Maybe you'll be teaching people how to manage their finances, whatever that is going to look like in the future, because we know it's changing, things like that. And so with Venus making a conjunction here especially, which also corresponds with our finances and material possessions as well as relationships, I think this conjunction might be birthing a seed for you of understanding how you can bring, more, how you can bring finances. It's just placing more emphasis on what the second house is all about, as well as imbuing it with the relationship aspect as well, whether that's with how you relate to money or how you relate to others with money, those types of ideas. And with the Venus conjunct Neptune, it's kind of like dreaming, the best ways possible to do this. And then with Venus conjunct Saturn, well, what can we actually do? What can we do now to start building these new systems that we need to start building now? And what can we, what might be possible in the future down the road as we get farther along? But how do we start making this transition from the old paradigm, old structure system to the new? And then with the sun coming in to make the conjunction March 22nd, March 25th, the sun represents you, right? So that represents how you can help make these transitions. So then we have the sun coming in to make a conjunction to Neptune and Saturn, and the sun represents you, right? And your purpose for being here and things like that. And anytime the sun makes a conjunction to things, it's also birthing a new seed. So this is, Venus is coming in here first to give you these ideas about your finances and your relationships and your relationship with finances and material possessions. And then the sun, you're coming in to make this conjunction to be like, okay, what can I actually do? How can I embody this energy? And what are my biggest ideas, and how do I bring them into existence? So those things as well, bringing more highlights to how, as well as, I think not only are we needing to build right now, but we're needing to be active participants in the tearing down of the old structures, of recognizing that they no longer serve us and being willing to take action on that. So in your potentially building up these new systems or figuring out how you're going to manage your own resources, perhaps at the same time learning how to use that to actively take a role in disengaging from the old systems or something along those lines. Then on the 18th, we are going to be having a new moon in Pisces. This is not going to be an eclipse, just a regular new moon, but new moons do bring, it's a time of planting new seeds, new goals, new intentions. So you could be birthing something new here. Full moons are the time when the harvest does show, but you could be, planting seeds of something new, or something new might be being planted on your behalf during this new moon in your first house of self. So it really could be anything, considering it is the, moon and sun. This could be, the sun rules your sixth house. So this could be new health regimens, new work opportunities, new employees if you're an employer, something like that. The moon rules your fifth house, so new relationships, new children, or something going on with your children, connecting with your inner child. Could be an entrepreneurship or a creative endeavor being birthed. Or this is also, we have two big things going on at this time. We have the sun and moon, the new moon, is going to be making a sextile to Uranus in Taurus in your third house. Taurus can represent, resources and things like that, but also Uranus in Taurus is in your third house. So this could be an opportunity showing up for short distance travel, a new educational opportunity. Third house is communication. So perhaps, some news coming in suddenly, some information coming in suddenly that births something new for you or plants new seeds, something, a new mindset shift, a sudden insight, or, it could even be a new car, something along those lines, with it being the third house. It could be, something new going on with your siblings or extended family, coming in suddenly, but there's an aspect of something sudden with this new moon. And then the other thing is, this is the day that Venus is making that square, which we talked about, to Jupiter. So bringing lots of opportunities for abundance, financially, creatively, things like that, that will, bring something new to you and your sense of identity. So that can be very exciting. And then the only other thing that I'm going to go through is later in the month, March 28th, this Saturn sextile Pluto will become exact. And this is a big deal. This, if you listen to the collective reading, this particular sextile has only happened during 7 time periods before in history, between the period of 500 BC to 2500 BC is when the AstroSeek search engine goes between those time periods. So this is a very, very rare thing. This is a once in your lifetime exact sextile. This is part of the divine, mini grand trine that we have been talking about for in all my past videos, and that will be with us off and on in various potencies through 2029. But so this is one leg of it, making the exact sextile. And so for you in particular, with this being between your 12th house and 2nd house, I'm wondering if and Pluto being the planet of transformation and going into the deep, shining a light on our fears and things like that, and 2nd house, kind of representing our finances and our self-value and self-worth and our material resources, I feel like this might be a big breakthrough for you on where you find your value, where you might have any self-limiting beliefs of your own value or of money, self-sabotaging behaviors in regards to your money or your material possessions, or just if that's how you define your self-worth, right? I feel like there's going to be a big mental breakthrough for you here in that area of your life, which is very exciting, because if you can break through any boundaries there, then naturally you will feel some more abundance, which this whole month is kind of supporting this energy of abundance here, as well as here. So, yeah, that sounds like a really great month for you. Comment below with how you're feeling this energy, what you're excited for, what you're nervous for, and just, any way you can engage with this does help my tiny little channel grow, and I'd love to get any feedback you can give me.